Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another super duper episode of the dictionary. This is my podcast. You should have known that. You should know that. If you're new, now you know it. Okay, so the first word in this episode is cotangent. It is spelled Cotangent. Noun from 1635. 1. Oh, this goes back to where we had cosine and what did we have? Cosecant, cosine, and this is I think the next one in the list. Okay, so it is a trigonometric function that for an acute angle is the ratio between the leg adjacent to the angle when it is considered part of a right triangle and the leg opposite. And I still don't remember any of this. 2, a trigonometric function, cot, 0, I'm just calling it a 0, that is COT, 0, that is equal to the cosine divided by the sine, SINE, for all real numbers, symbol 0 thing, for which the sine is not equal to 0 and is exactly equal to the cotangent of an angle of measure 0 in radians. And I have a pretty good feeling that symbol is not 0, and so maybe I will go look it up and I'll put it in the show notes, and maybe I will have done that for the episode for cosine as well. So that's that. It's still confusing to me. And it's from New Latin co plus tangens, which means tangent. It's related to tangent. Oh, the sound effect is harumph. Next word is coat or cot, COTE. First form, noun from before the 12th century. Number 1 is English dialect, and it is the number 1 definition for the first form of the word cot, COT, which is a small house. Number 2, a shed or coop for small domestic animals and especially pigeons. The pigeons live in a cote. I always thought it was a coop, but it could also be called a cote. Yeah, shed or coop. It's a small house for domestic animals, also often pigeons. Harumph. Next word is the second form of coat. Transitive verb from 1555. It is obsolete, so you can't use it, and it means to pass by. It's from the Middle French cotoyer, and I don't know what that means. It doesn't say, but maybe it has something to do with passing. Harumph. Next word is coterie. Coterie, or, let's see, you can emphasize the first syllable, coterie, or the last syllable, coterie. COTERIE. Noun from 1738. An intimate and often exclusive group of persons with a unifying common interest or purpose. So it's basically a group of people feel similarly about something, but they don't want other people to join them. Why? Why not? This is from Middle French, or it is a Middle French word that means tenants. Tenants, from Old French cotier, which means cotter, of Germanic origin, akin to the Old English word cot, which means hut. So it's tenants in a hut. I'm just putting all this together. Tenants in a hut, hanging out, talking about something that they are interested in, and they won't let anybody in. It's an exclusive club. Coterie. Next word, harumph. It is coterminous. Adjective from 1799. 1. having the same or coincident boundaries. Having the same or coincident boundaries. As in, a voting district coterminous with the city. And terminus, it's like the end of a thing. Yes, the end of the district. A voting district coterminous with the city, so the district and the city, maybe they have the same border. 2. Coextensive in scope or duration, as in the quote, an experience of life coterminous with the years of his father. That is a quote from Elizabeth Hardwick. Coterminously is an adverb. Harumph. Next is cothurnus. 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 Noun from 1606. 1. A high, thick-soled laced boot worn by actors in Greek and Roman tragic drama, called also cothurn. Cothurn. There's a dot after the CO, and I don't know if that is how they would spell it or if they're just showing that to me for some reason. I don't know. But it's a boot. It's a boot time. Number 2, the dignified, somewhat stilted style of ancient tragedy. So these definitely seem related. Ancient tragedy, and the Greeks and the Romans, they would wear these boots for tragic dramas, so they must have named this style after these boots. Were they stilted because of the boots? Why did they wear these boots? What was the purpose of them? They were high, thick-soled, laced boots. Fascinating. Harumph. Next word is cotidal. C-O-T-I-D-A-L. Cotidal. Adjective from 1833, indicating equality in the tides or a coincidence in the time of high or low tide. Equality in the tides. So I guess it's the middle ground between high tide and low tide when it's all equal. Is that what it's saying? Cotidal. Harumphy-dumph. Did I say that? I think I said that already. Next word is cotillion. You can spell it C-O-T-I-L-L-I-O-N, or you can take out that last I. So cotillion, there's so many ways. Cotillion. Cotillion. This is a noun from 1728. 1. A ballroom dance for couples that resembles the quadrille. Quadrille. I don't know either of these dances. Maybe I'll find a video and post the link in the show notes. 2. An elaborate dance with frequent changing of partners carried out under the leadership of one couple at formal balls. And then number 3 is just a formal ball. That's the only one I know of. In high school, some high schools have a cotillion dance, and then the people go and they dance. They probably used to dance the cotillion dance, but now it's just dance whatever they want to dance. This is French. It literally means petticoat. From Old French, coat, which means coat. So maybe you had to wear a petticoat to do this dance. Harumph. Next word is cotinine or cotinine. C-O-T-I-N-I-N-E. Noun from 1893. An alkaloid, C10H12N2O, that is the principal metabolite of nicotine. And interesting. This says it's probably an anagram of nicotine. So it sure does look like it is an anagram of nicotine. Why did they do that? I feel like these scientific words are usually the word is made up of things that have a meaning, a purpose. The suffix does, the prefix does, maybe the part in the middle, but they were like, no, we're just gonna rearrange the letters of nicotine and make cotinine. That is interesting. Harumph. Next word is cotoneaster. Cotoneaster. You could also pronounce it, let's see, cotoneaster. I think that's the other way. Cotoneaster. It is spelled Cotoneaster. Cotoneaster. That's how I'm going to say it. Noun from 1796. Any of a genus of old world flowering shrubs of the rose family. And the genus name is Cotoneaster. Let's see. It's from Latin cotonium, which means quince. I think, is that a fruit? Quince. I think it is. And then they added the new Latin aster at the end. Next word, harumph. It is cot queen. Cot queen. Cotquean. Noun from 1547. 1 is archaic. 2 is also archaic. So number 1 is a coarse masculine woman. Wow. Definitely have not heard this, and this seems like it would be rather insensitive, to put it lightly, if you use this. Not only is it a masculine woman, it is a coarse masculine woman. And then 2 is also archaic, a man who busies himself with women's work or affairs. Okay, this is highly genderized, highly I mean, obviously it's archaic, so that's the old school way of looking at this, but women's work or affairs, are they talking about dealing with the kids and doing the laundry and making food? Is that what they're talking about? A man who does those things used to be called a cot queen? Wow. And what's interesting is that number 1 and number 2 are kind of opposite. A coarse masculine woman and a man who busies himself with women's work or affairs. Wow. I feel like I need to learn more about this. So yeah, it's from cot, which I assume is I think it's the small house definition. And then queen, but it's not queen like a king and queen, a queen with 2 E's. It is queen with an E-A-N. And I am not familiar with that word. So that'll be interesting to see what that is when we get to the cues. Okay, next word, harumph. It is Cotswold. Cotswold. Capital Cotswold. Noun from circa 1658. Any of an English breed of large, long-wooled sheep. And this is from Cotswold Hills, England. Although I'm sure they say it's something like Cotswold. Something much, much better than me. Harumph. Next word is cotta. 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 Noun from 1848. It's just a waist-length surplice or surplice. I think it's probably surplice. What is a surplice? We have a surplus of surplices. This is Middle Latin of Germanic origin, akin to the Old High German koza or kotza, which is coarse mantle. Coarse mantle, and there's more at the word coat, C-O-A-T. So yeah, it must be some sort of coat. A cotta. Next word, harumph. Harumph. It is cottage. Noun from the 14th century. 1. The dwelling of a farm laborer or small farmer. 2. A usually small frame one family house. 3. A small detached dwelling unit at an institution. 4. A usually small house for vacation use. Maybe one day I will have myself a little cottage. Cottagey. That is an adjective. And you may have guessed, as I did, that this is from the Middle English cot, C-O-T, and it's just a small house. So how did it become a cottage? Why did they add the A-G-E? And why? How and why? And when? And who? And where? Harumph. Next word is cottage cheese. 2 words, noun from 1848. Am I finally going to get to learn why it is called cottage cheese? Probably not. It is a bland, soft, white cheese made from the curds of skim milk. Called also Dutch cheese, pot cheese, and smear case. I don't mean to be disrespectful of any cultures who would call it smear case, but to me that is a silly, silly word. And now I would really like it if all of the cottage cheese tubs at the store just said smear case. Nobody would buy it. Nobody would buy it. When you think about this cottage cheese and all other things, regular cheese and yogurts and all that stuff, if you think about where it came from and how and why and what it really is, especially this one, the curds of skim milk, it does not sound appetizing. It's good, it's tasty, but yeah, although it is bland, you got to put it on something or mix it in with something. I haven't had cottage cheese in who knows how long. Somebody told me it's good if you put cottage cheese on Ruffles or those kinds of potato chips. It was very tasty. Yeah, that's cottage cheese. And our last word, harumph, harumph, harumph. I don't know why my sound is harumph. The last word is cottage curtains. Oh, and they didn't explain why it's called cottage cheese. Maybe it's just made in a cottage. Cottage curtains is next. Noun from 1943. It is a double set of upper and lower straight hanging window curtains that you are required to put up in your cottage. Okay, so the words in this episode were cotangent, coat, coterie, coterminus, cothurnus. Those are the boots. Cotitle, cotillion, cotinine, cotoniaster, cot queen, Cotswold, cotta, cottage, cottage cheese, and cottage curtains. Okay, so there were some interesting ones in here. How do we want to go with this one? Let's see. I think I may just pick, just because it was not disrespectful and it was interesting, something I'd never heard of before. I think I'm going to pick cothurnus, Cothurnus. That is going to be the word of the episode. Those are the boots that the Greeks and the Romans would wear in their tragic dramas, and also just the style of ancient tragedy. If I knew, I think they had sung, there was always the Greek chorus or something. Cothurnus, Cothurnus, tie your boots. It's a cothurnus. All right. I feel weird ending it there because I'm so used to doing these holidays, but I don't got nothing. I got to think of something. What are we going to do? I can talk about my life. What's going on in my life? We're almost done with Station 11. We're going to watch the last 2 episodes tonight, I think. It's good. I'm curious to see how it ends. I also really I would like to read the book. I would also like to read the graphic novel that is in the show, but I don't think it's real. I don't know. What else? I think we're gonna hopefully soon. We got a bunch of movies we gotta watch. We gotta watch West Side Story, the original and the new one. We still gotta watch Dune. We gotta watch the new Matrix movie. There's so much stuff. The After Party comes out tomorrow. That's an adult comedy murder mystery show that I really want to watch. There's so much. But yeah, the Station 11 is the thing that we've been focusing on recently, so that's what's on my brain. All right, that is the end of the episode. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Bye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of The Dictionary. I hope that you are enjoying this show, and of course, you should be sharing it with all of the rest of the world, subscribing and rate and review and all that good stuff. So, the first word in this episode is cottage industry. 2 words. Noun from 1921. 1. An industry whose labor force consists of family units or individuals working at home with their own equipment. What sort of equipment could they possibly have at home? They can't have large machines, but, sewing, that's the first thing that I could think of back in the day. I mean, even these days, but especially back in the 1920s. Sewing, everybody had a sewing machine. So that is a cottage industry because it is an industry made up of all of the cottages where the people live. 2. A small and often informally organized industry. 3. A limited but enthusiastically pursued activity or pursuit. But you must be enthusiastic about pursuing this activity or subject. As in, this debate about sex and law became a cottage industry for feminist academics. And that is a quote from Wendy I don't know how to say, Kaminer? Kaminer? Kaminer. Various ways to say it, and I don't know how. A limited but enthusiastically pursued activity or subject. So the quote was, this debate about sex and law became a cottage industry for feminist academics. And, so what it's saying is feminist academics, people who are feminists and in the academic world, became they pursued this sex and law enthusiastically because I assume this was probably a quote from when feminism became a much bigger deal, probably in the 70s. So that's my take on that. But I don't know who this person is or when this quote was from. Oh, I got to do a sound effect. It is. I'm getting very bad at those explosion sounds. Fine. Next is cottage pie. Yeah, pie. 2 words. Noun from 1791. A shepherd's pie made especially with beef. And I just want to backtrack to cottage industry for a second. I'm not entirely sure why that third definition is what it is. Why did they call something that you pursue enthusiastically a cottage industry? I would love some more information on that. But there's no etymology. Okay, so we read cottage pie. Now we got to go to cottage pudding. Now, if this is pudding made especially with beef, I'm going to be very confused. It is a noun from circa 1854. Plain cake. All right, well, I'm already confused because it said pudding. But I guess people got different kinds of puddings all over the world. So it is plain cake covered with a hot, sweet sauce. Like a fudge? Hot fudge sauce? Probably not. Interesting. Plain. It's just very plain cake. It's not vanilla. It's not chocolate. It's not strawberry. It's just plain cake with a hot, sweet sauce. Next word is cottager. Cottage with an ER. Noun from 1550. A person who lives in a cottage. They're also just a human. Cottager. All right, next word is... I don't like this sound effect. It is cottage tulip. It's the flower, I assume. 2 words, noun from 1928. Any of various tall, late-flowering tulips. But why are they called cottage tulips? Are these the tulips that people would put around their cottage to make it look all nice and pretty? Why didn't they choose other flowers? How did they choose these? I have so many questions. All right, next word. It is cotter. Cotter or cotter, spelled Cottar or ER. Noun from the 14th century. It is a peasant or farm laborer who occupies a cottage and sometimes a small holding of land, usually in return for services. So somebody lets them live there as long as they help out, with the chores, the land, the animals, the whatever it is. They are a cotter. They could also be a cottager because they live in a cottage or, something like that. This is just from the Middle English word cot, which we learned means small house. Okay, next word, boom. It is cotter again. So this one is spelled with an ER. It is a noun from the 14th century. 1, a wedge-shaped or tapered piece used to fasten together parts of a structure. So if you put things together and it's shaped like a wedge or it's tapered, and it's called a cotter. And then number 2, the synonym is counterpane, which will be our next word. Cottered with an ED is an adjective, and cotterless is an adjective. Oh, we have to put together this structure. Go get the cotters so we can put it together. Uh-oh, we have no more cotters. We are cotterless. The origin is unknown. Who named this? Next word. Counterpane. Here we go with counterpane. 2 words, noun from 1881. A half-round metal strip bent into a pin whose ends can be flared after insertion through a slot or hole. Okay, I can sort of visualize this. I may have to find a picture to post. Half-round metal strip bent into a pin whose ends... So yeah, once you put it in, the ends flare out, so you can't pull it out, so it keeps everything in place. I think that's what it is. All right. Okay, next word. It is cotton. Now, do you say cotton, emphasize the T, or do you say cotton? Cotton or cotton? It's also like mitten, mitten. People emphasize it in different ways. They're all totally fine and correct with me. So this is the first form of, I will say, cotton. That's how I like to say it, cotton. Noun from the 14th century. 1A, a soft, usually white, fibrous substance composed of the hairs surrounding the seeds of various erect, freely branching tropical plants of the mallow family. And the genus is Gossypium. Okay, so there was so much information, lots of adjectives. It's white and fibrous and freely branching tropical plants, part of the mallow family. I think we all generally know what cotton is, but a lot of people have never seen it in person. I don't know if I've ever seen it in person, but I've seen pictures and video. So it's fascinating that the flower opens up, I guess, and there's seeds inside, but then the seeds are surrounded by this white fluffy stuff that somehow at some point somebody was like, we can use that for stuff. Let's put it into things. Let's make it into stuff. How can we do that? Oh, I don't know. I'll make a thing called a cotton gin, which we're going to get to later. And then it became a whole industry and slaves were used to pick it. That happened. That happened. Okay, 1B, a plant producing cotton, especially one grown for its cotton. 1C, a crop of cotton. 2A, fabric made of cotton. And 2B, yarn spun from cotton. 3, a downy, cottony substance produced by various plants as the cottonwood. We will see cottonwood in tomorrow's episode. So there is a picture. It's cotton, but we have a few different things to discuss. It's the plant at 3 different stages, I think. So number 1 says flowering branch, and I'm a little bit confused as to what one is pointing to. It's not really pointing to anything. It's next to a leaf, and it's also next to the flower. I guess the seed, the thing that has the seed, is that different from the flower? Well, anyway, number 1 is the flower. It just looks like a flower. It's got petals and it's open. Number 2 is fruit unopened. So yes, the fruit part of it, where the seed is different than the flower. Okay? Makes sense? So the fruit unopened, it looks like, how do I put this? Ooh, it kind of is kind of the shape of a fig. It's round. Most of it looks like a circle, like a sphere, but then it comes to a point at the end. And then there's these like frilly bits at the bottom of it pointing up. But it is unopened, so that's why the top of it is pointed. And then 3 is fruit partly opened. And what happens is the one that was unopened, as it begins to open, I guess it opens because it's got so much cotton inside of it, it bursts. And so it splits into, this picture shows 3 parts. The fig-shaped thing splits into 3 parts, and then the cotton starts to burst out through those seams. So yeah, that's what the people would pick. After it's burst, you can see all the white fluffy stuff inside, and then you can pull it out. That is cotton. Anything from the etymology that is interesting? Not really. It comes from the Arabic kutun, Qutun. Also Old Italian cotone, but it doesn't really give much more information than that. Second form of cotton. This is a verb, and I think it is just intransitive, from 1605. 1, to take a liking. To take a liking, and this is used with the word to, T-O, as in cottons to people easily. Cottoning. I have never heard this before. Cottons to people easily. I guess if you do that, you like people easily. And number 2, to come to understand. And this is used with the words to or onto, as in cottoned on to the fact that our children work furiously. Cottoned on to the fact that our children work furiously. We now understand that our children work furiously. That is a quote from H.M. McLuhan. H.M. McLuhan. There's no etymology for this one. I am very confused as to where this came from. Why did they use cotton in this verb form? I might have to go to that website, Etym Online, and see if there's more information. Never heard it before. Next word, boom. Cotton bullworm. Cotton bullworm. 2 words. It might actually be pronounced bollworm because it is spelled Bollworm. That is all one word. Noun from 1870, and the synonym is corn earworm. And I do kind of remember reading that back in the corn section. Next word is cotton candy. 2 words. Noun from 1926. 1, a candy made of spun sugar. I don't know. I don't understand how somebody figured out how to do this. You take the sugar, I think they heat it up, and then it spins around through this thing that has, I think, little holes on it, and then it flies through the holes, and it lands on the edge of the spinny thing, and somehow somebody was like, we can spin sugar. Anyway, number 2, something attractive but insubstantial. And that is exactly how you can describe cotton candy, because it seems so substantial. It seems so thick, but then when you eat it, it just melts away immediately, and there's nothing in there. There's nothing to it, but I do love it so. Cotton candy, cotton candy. I just heard a podcast. They were talking about cotton candy, and I think it was the podcast Weirdest Thing I Learned, and it was called, I think I've mentioned this before, it was called Candy Floss. I think it was Candy Floss. That kind of makes more sense. Cotton, I guess it kind of looks like cotton because it's this like fibrous stuff. Yeah, that's cotton candy. My cousin had a cotton candy machine at her wedding, and that was pretty epic. Next word is cotton gin. 2 words. Gin is Gin. Noun from 1796. A machine that separates the seeds, hulls, and foreign material from cotton. This changed the world for at least the cotton industry. It was so time-consuming pulling all the cotton off by hand, and then they could just throw the stuff into the machine, and it, based on how it was engineered and designed, that it could just separate everything and save you a bunch of time and money. And no, it is not an alcohol. It's not the gin alcohol. It's a machine called a gin. But what would gin taste like if it was made from cotton? Is that even possible? I don't think so. I think it needs to be something. It needs to be some kind of other material. Next word is cotton grass. 2 words. Noun from 1597. Any of a genus of sedges with tufted spikes. And the genus name is Eriophorum. That starts with an E. Okay, next word. Cottonmouth. Cottonmouth. 1 word. Noun from 1832. And the synonym is water moccasin. Water moccasin, that is a fish, I think. And the etymology says this is from the fact that the mouth is white. The interior of the mouth of this water moccasin is white. So they call it cottonmouth. And then our last word, which is related, it's cottonmouth moccasin. 2 words, noun from 1879. And again, the synonym is just water moccasin. Okay, so the words in this episode were cottage industry, cottage pie, cottage pudding, cottager, cottage tulip, cotter, cotterpin, cotton, cotton, cotton bollworm, cotton candy, cotton gin, cotton grass, cotton mouth, and cotton mouth moccasin. Well, I'm obviously very tempted to pick cotton candy because it is one of the greatest sweet things in the world, but it's also very terrible at the same time. But I think I will pick cotton because of cotton has just played such a huge role in America on so many levels, and I'm sure other countries produce cotton as well. I don't know much about cotton. Somebody tell me about cotton. But I think for fairly obvious reasons. But obviously, slaves were picking cotton. That is the very what am I trying to say? The first example, the very stereotypical example of what the slaves are doing back in the 14, 15, 1600s, and 6, 17, 8, when? 8, yeah, many years. And so that is a whole thing unto itself, and there's that. But also, just as a material from industry and clothes and everything, it's been very important to create stuff for us to wear. So, it's just been a big thing. It's a very important plant, I guess. I don't know. I think so. Is it still important? Probably. I think they're still making stuff out of cotton. I don't really pay attention to that, but maybe I should. Okay. And then they're probably using the cotton gin or something like it to, I think they've improved on the cotton gin. It would be great, though, if cotton manufacturers are using the original cotton gin from 1796. Okay. Cotton, 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 my clothes are made of cotton, 100% cotton, cotton. All right, well, that is it. No more holidays. I just posted a thing on my Facebook page and Twitter asking, what should I do? What should I do now that I'm not reading the holidays? So if you have an opinion, I will hear it in about a month. Oh, and then one last thing, because maybe instead of that, I'll try and add some more personal stuff. My wife and I just watched the movie Unsilenced. I don't know how easy it is to find in theaters. I'm not sure if it's streaming, but it is a very important story to tell. It's based on true events. I think it's very true. I should actually go look and see, to what extent it's true. But the thing that really fascinated me, in addition to just the story itself, and how important it is of a story to tell, but also the fact that because it was such a big deal, a bunch of people who worked on the film did not want to be associated with the film. They just had their name as anonymous. So that shows you that the stuff that happened in the movie is still going on in some way, and that's a big problem. So I definitely recommend people checking out that movie and learning more about that story, like I did. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, tomorrow. This is Spencer, dispensing information. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of The Dictionary. This is the podcast where I read the dictionary, and then I tell you what I think about it. That's all it is. As I like to often say, I don't like to often say this, but I feel like I should say this, because otherwise, whatever. It doesn't matter. Please write a review, especially on the Apple Podcasts or anywhere else that you can find this. Go rate it, review it, share it, go post about it on your social media, because I'm sure you got it. Send it in an email, send it in a letter, correspond with somebody across the world and tell them to listen to this. And subscribe to it, so then you automatically download them. You can watch this on YouTube. The links are in the show notes. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at dictionarypod. There's also a Facebook page. You can join the Patreon. Give me a few bucks a month. Get episodes extremely early and sometimes exclusives. And what else? There's a Google Voice number. You can call it and leave me a message. You can send me an audio file through the email dictionarypod@gmail.com, or you can just write to tell me something about your life. All right, it's words time. This is the end of page 283. The first word is cotton picking. 2 words with a hyphen. You could also say cotton pickin'. That's one of the pronunciations in here. Adjective from circa 1952. 1. The synonym is damned. D-A-M-N-E-D. And this is used as a generalized expression of disapproval, as in a cotton-pickin' hypocrite. They're damned? That's an interesting example. Number 2, the synonym is also damned, and this one is used as an intensive, as in the example, out of his cotton-pickin' mind. And that is a quote from Irving Kristol, with a K. Irving Kristol, out of his cotton-pickin' mind. Now, I've heard this before, but I don't know where exactly it came from. How did this, we'll never know, I'm sure, the origin of this, but it's interesting. How did this become, it's such an odd phrase when you think about it, out of his cotton-pickin' mind. What does that even mean? All right, next word. I'm going to do, the sound effect is cottonseed. 1 word, noun from 1774. It is the seed of the cotton plant. The cotton plant has a flower, and it also has a fruit, and the cotton seed is in the fruit, and the cotton substance is around the seed. So is the cotton that we pick for clothes, is that literally the fruit? Is that the part that's the fruit? Is it edible? Do things eat that? I need to get some of this like unfiltered, untouched cotton. So fascinating. Boop. Next word is cottonseed oil. 2 words, noun from 1833. A pale yellow, semi-drying fatty oil that is obtained from the cottonseed and is used chiefly in salad and cooking oils, and after hydrogenation in shortenings and margarine. So they take the cottonseed and they smush it and they get some oil out of it. How much oil can come out of one cottonseed? How many cottonseed plants do you need to have enough oil to use it in foods? I don't know nothing about cottonseed oil. Next word. It is cotton stainer. Yes, 2 words. Stainer. Stainer. Noun from 1856. Any of several bugs that damage and stain the lint of developing cotton, especially a red and brown bug that attacks cotton in the southern U.S. So it damages and stains the lint of developing cotton. Is the lint of the cotton, is that the actual cotton that we take? And then yeah, I can understand. They don't want this. They want that pure white cotton. They don't want it to be stained in any way. What does the stain look like? How is it stained? What color is the stain? Is it do they pee on the cotton and that's what stains it? Is it just from their feet? What happens? The genus name is Dictionarypod. I think that's it. And then the specific one that they mention in the southern U.S. would be, the scientific name is Dictionarypod suturelis. Very important that you know that. Next word is cottontail. 1 word, noun from 1835. Any of several rather small North American rabbits, sandy to grayish brown in color, and a white tufted underside of the tail. That is why it's called a cottontail, because the underside of the tail is white and tufted, and it looks like they sat in some cotton and it got stuck to their butt. The genus name is Silvilagus, one of those ways. I don't know how to say it. Cottontail rabbits. What was that? There was that story, the cottontail, not Peter Rabbit. Was that, there was something, the cottontail story of Peter Cottontail? No, somebody else Cottontail. I don't remember. Next word is cottonweed. Cottonweed. 1 word, noun from 1562. Any of various weedy plants, as cudweed, with whitish pubescence or cottony seeds. So cudweed is an example of this weedy plant, and it has whitish pubescence or cottony seeds. So it's like cotton, I guess, but it's not exactly cotton. It's just similar. Next word. It is cottonwood. 1 word, noun from 1802. Any of several poplars having seeds with cottony hairs. And a poplar, that's a tree. And then especially one of these poplars of the eastern and central U.S., often cultivated for its rapid growth and luxuriant foliage. And the scientific name for this specific one is Populus deltoides. Maybe we need to post a picture of a cottonwood tree, and I guess it's got cottony hairs. Next word. It is cotton wool. WOOL. We had cottonweed, cottonwood, cotton wool. So cotton wool is 2 words, noun from the 14th century. It's just raw cotton, especially cotton batting. Batting, I think that's just like a a term for like the stuff that you put in a blanket or a pillow or, to fluff something up, I think. So yeah, that's made out of cotton. Yeah, raw cotton or cotton batting is cotton wool. But it's not actually wool because wool comes from animals. So it's like wool, but it's from the cotton plant. Does it make sense now? Okay, good. Next is it is cottony. You can say cottony or cottony. 2 syllables or 3 syllables. It's just the word cotton with a Y at the end. Adjective from 1578. Resembling cotton in appearance or character. And before we say the A and the B, we did see this word in the cottonwood definition. It said any of several poplars having seeds with cottony hairs. So it's hair like cotton. Okay, so back to cottony. A is covered with hairs or pubescence. And B, the synonym is just soft. My cat Bailey, her fur is cottony because it is super, super, super soft. All right, next word. Cottony cushion scale. What is this? Cottony cushion scale. So, it's 3 words. Cottony cushion, have a hyphen in between them. Noun from 1886. A scale insect introduced into the U.S. from Australia that infests citrus and other plants. And the scientific name is Escherichia purchasii. Escherichia purchasii. Okay, I have so many questions. Cottony cushion scale. So a scale is just a kind of insect. So there must be lots of insects that are called scale insects. Maybe they have scales. I'm not familiar. And then cottony cushion. That's a thinker. Not entirely sure why it's called a cottony cushion. It doesn't say that it infests cotton, although maybe cotton is included in the other plants. You'd think that would be the main one that they would say if it's in the name. But anyway, that's what that is. Next word is a suffix, cotyl, or just cotyl, C-O-T-Y-L. And it just means cotyledon. Nope. It's pronounced cotyledon. Cotyledon. The only reason I know how to pronounce that is because that is the next word. So it means cotyledon, as in the example, hypocotyl. Hypocotyl. And that's all the information I have for that. So, you want to know what cotyledon is? It's our next word. It is spelled C-O-T-Y-L-E-D-O-N. Cotyledon. Noun from 1541. A lobule of the mammalian placenta. So when a mammal has a baby, the placenta is the thing that has been giving the baby sustenance, and it comes out as well with the baby or after the baby. But what is a lobule? It's a part of the placenta. Maybe it's a thing. Maybe it's a piece of the placenta. No clue, but it's a cotyledon. And then number 2, the first leaf or one of the first pair or whorl of leaves developed by the embryo of a seed plant or of some lower plants, as ferns. Something about leaves and plants. Cotyledonary, that is an adjective. So, this is from Greek, kotyledon, and it means cup-shaped hollow. Also from kotyli, which means cup or just anything hollow. Anything hollow. So there must be sort of hollowy parts of the placenta, and those are the lobules, so that's why it's cotyledon. Okay, next word. It is, you can pronounce this a couple ways, cotylosaur, or cotylosaur. Cotylosaur or cotylosaur. And it is spelled Cotyllosaur. Yeah, a dinosaur. This is a noun from 1895. It is any of an order of extinct primitive reptiles of the Carboniferous to dry. Oh my God, I can't speak. Carboniferous was a hard word. So it is any of an order of extinct primitive reptiles of the Carboniferous to Triassic, with short legs and massive bodies that were probably the earliest truly terrestrial vertebrate animals. Okay, so the order name is Cotylosauria, and this is from the Greek kotyli, which we learned in the last word means cup or anything hollow, and then plus sauros, which means lizard. But what are they talking about? What's a cup or something hollow on a lizard? We got to post a picture of this. But there's a bunch of different kinds of cotylosaurs. I've never heard of these. Because it's probably the earliest truly terrestrial vertebrate animals, I have to assume that time period from the Carboniferous to the Triassic, those must be some of the earliest stages of the dinosaur times, I have to assume. Yeah, it does say primitive. I assume that, extinct and primitive, that's a little bit redundant, but that's okay. Okay, so yeah, we'll definitely post a picture of a cotylosaur and figure out why the word hollow, how hollow is related to them. Next word, boop. It is couch. Couch. First form, verb from the 14th century, starting with transitive, 1, to lay oneself down for rest or sleep. To lay down for rest or sleep. Yes, this is the verb form. I'm just gonna couch here for a minute so I can rest or sleep. 2, to embroider a design by laying down a thread and fastening it with small stitches at regular intervals. My mouth is not working. Yeah, okay. I don't do the embroidering, so I've never heard couch used in this way. Laying it down, couch it. 3, to place or hold level and pointed forward, ready for use. 4, to phrase or express in a specified manner, as in, the comments were couched in strong terms. They were expressed in that way. And then intransitive, 1, to lie down or recline for sleep or rest. 2, to lie in ambush, as if you were lying on a couch but ready to pounce. This is from the Latin collocare, which means to set in place. And there's more at the word collocate. Boop. Next word is the second form of couch, noun from the 14th century, 1a, an article of furniture for sitting or reclining. I can't not think about the bunk bed couch from the Lego movie whenever I hear couch. I want that. I want a bunk bed couch. 1b, a couch on which a patient reclines when undergoing psychoanalysis. Just here, lay down in this couch, and I'm going to psychoanalyze you. What do you have to say? Number 2, the den of an animal as an otter. The den of an otter is called a couch? On the couch, that is a phrase, and it means receiving psychiatric treatment. The etymology, it's from Middle English. Maybe they pronounce it couch. It has an E at the end, and it just means bed. So how did we go from bed to couch? A couch is a couch and a bed is a bed. They're not the same. Maybe some people sleep on their couch. That's true. Some people do. Some people use their bed as a couch. But they're different things. My grandparents had a couch. They had a nice couch for a long time, and then they decided to get a new couch, and so we got the couch. And yeah, that's my story with that couch. I had it for a very long time. It got a lot of use. Went through different places, different houses. It was around for maybe 30 years. Then actually, I think I sold it I gave it to a friend who used it for a while too, and then I think they got rid of it because it was not in good shape. It could not have been in good shape anymore. The couch we have now is not very good. Someday we'll get a good couch. Okay, our last word. It is couchant. Couch with an A-N-T. Couchant. Adjective from the 15th century. Lying down, especially with the head up. I didn't know. If you're lying down with your head up, you are couchant. As in, a heraldic lion couchant. Maybe the lion on a heraldic shield is lying down? A lying lion? Yeah, that's all I have for that. All right, so the words in this episode were cotton picking, cotton seed oil, cotton stainer, cottontail, cottonweed, cottonwood, cotton wool, cottony cushion scale, cotyle, cotyledon, cotylosaur, couch, and couchant. I was definitely impressed by the cotylosaur. I'd never heard of that before. Looking through. I also just love a couch. Just love to sit on a couch and watch some stuff. After I've done a good, long, hard days of work, of sitting in front of the computer more than likely, and maybe doing some working out or going for a walk, you could just sit on the couch and relax. Audrey is sitting here on the bed, and she's looking so cute. She just covered her face with her arm. Got a picture. All right, so I think I'm just going to pick couch as the word of the episode. Sitting on a couch is really great. I'm gonna do it later when I watch a movie or TV show. Sitting on my couch, I'm gonna go sit on the couch. All right, I think that's it. Oh, I will just say some personal stuff because that's what I'm doing right now. What else do I have to say? We just started watching the show Succession because everybody's been telling us to watch Succession, so we watched the first episode last night. It's very good. It's made by Adam McKay and Will Ferrell. They are the producers, and so once I saw that, my expectations went up. Yeah, they're doing a good job. I like it. What else? I think that's good for now. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds! Welcome to another episode of this podcast called The Dictionary. It is the podcast that you are listening to right now. Okay, this is the top of page 184. The first word in this episode is couch grass. 2 words. Noun from 1578. Number 1. The synonym is quack grass. Well, that's not very helpful. Quack grass, couch grass. I do prefer the name quack grass, though. 2. Any of several grasses that resemble quack grass in spreading by creeping rhizomes. So they resemble quack grass. Oh, I can't even say it. Quack grass by the fact that they spread creeping rhizomes. Oh my God, there's so many things going on here. Creeping rhizomes? No, not the creeping rhizomes. All right. Boing. Next word is couch potato. 2 words. Noun from 1982. A lazy and inactive person, especially one who spends a great deal of time watching television. Part of me is definitely a couch potato. I kind of want to be more of a couch potato, but the other part of me is motivated enough to actually do work and work out and not become a couch potato, except at the end of the night where I say it is fine. Everything in moderation. It's fine. I want to be a couch potato chip. Fry me up. Boing. Next word is coude. C-O-U-D-E. There is an accent on the E, which is down on the left and up on the right. Adjective from circa 1889. It's a long definition. Coude. Of, relating to, or being a telescope constructed so that the light is reflected along the polar axis to come to a focus at a point where the holder for a photographic plate or a spectrograph may be mounted. And this is French, and it means bent like an elbow. From coude, which means elbow, from the Latin cubitum. So this telescope must be bent so that the light can come in and it gets put on a photograph or something. Maybe we'll post a picture of this coude telescope. Boing. Next word is cougar. I guess some people also pronounce it cougar. Cougar. I mean, that's how it looks. Cougar. Noun from 1774. 1. A large, powerful, tawny brown cat. Formerly, why does my mouth do that? Formerly widespread in the Americas, but now reduced in number or extinct in many areas. Called also catamount, mountain lion, panther, and puma. I guess all of those things are cougars. Puma, panther, mountain lion, catamount. Number 2 is slang. I'm sure some of you saw this coming. A middle-aged woman seeking a romantic relationship with a younger man. Although, I would think that it doesn't have to be a younger man. It could be a younger woman. Why does a cougar have to be straight? I don't think so. So this word comes from where? It comes from the New Latin couguarana. What? Well, it's French, first of all, cougar. New Latin is couguarana, from the Tupi word siwaswarana, and that is from siwasu, which means deer, plus ran. Okay, so they took the word siwaswarana is made up of siwasu and ran, and siwasu means deer, and ran means resembling. So it says it means resembling a deer, although other than maybe the color, I don't think a deer and a cougar are resembled in any way. They're completely different, other than, like I said, maybe the color. Okie dokie. Boing. Next word is cough. C-O-U-G-H. This is why people don't like English, because there are words like this that they're not pronounced how you think that they should be pronounced. There was I saw a thing recently, it was like, oh man, I'll see if I can find it and maybe post it, but yeah, cough. There are other various words that are spelled O-U-G-H and that are pronounced in 2 or 3 different ways. Anyway, this is cough, first form, verb from the 14th century, starting with intransitive. 1. To expel air from the lungs suddenly with an explosive noise. And why I didn't make this my sound effect, I'm not sure. Maybe I will, for the rest of this episode, my sound effect will be a cough. And then I'll use the boing in tomorrow's episode. Number 2, To make a noise like that of coughing. Well, wouldn't that just be a cough? How can you make a noise like a cough that's not a cough? I can't think of a way that you could do that doesn't end up just being a cough. Transitive verb says to expel by coughing, and this is often used with the word up, as in cough up mucus. Sometimes you gotta do it. That's just life. Human bodies are weird and gross. You gotta cough up the mucus. Okay, the etymology. This is from Old English. I don't even know how to say that. Koyan, akin to the Middle High German kuchen, which means to breathe heavily. Breathe heavily. But, cough is different than that. All right, it's time for the new sound effect. Second form of cough, noun from the 14th century. 1. A condition marked by repeated or frequent coughing. 2. An act or sound of coughing. I have to say, if you have to cough, at the very least, cough into your hand. Don't cough into the wild blue yonder. But even better, cough into your elbow. It's just like sneezing. Do it into your elbow. If you do it into your hands, you're going to get all the germs and the gross stuff on your hands. Like, what if you're sick and you don't know it? Then you're going to go touch stuff if you don't wash your hands. So you gotta cough or sneeze into your elbow. It's a lot safer. You're not going to be spreading around the gross stuff. That's my thought about cough. Okay, next is cough drop. 2 words, noun from 1806, a lozenge or troche, Troche. I am not familiar with that. I assume it's like a lozenge. A lozenge or troche used to relieve coughing. I don't know if they work all the time, but, they're probably better than nothing. Next word is cough syrup. 2 words, noun from 1836. Any of various sweet, usually medicated liquids used to relieve coughing. So you can drink it like a sweet syrup, or you can suck on a drop, also probably sweet. Next word is cough up. Felt like I was trying to cough up something there. This is a transitive verb from 1890. 1. The synonyms are hand over and deliver, as in cough up the money. Come on, our boss wants the money and you have to give it to us. Cough it up. Number 2, to lose possession of during a game. And the thing that you are losing possession of could be a ball or a puck, as in the quarterback coughed up the ball. Oops-a-daisy. Next word is could or cud. I think some people say cud. It is could, like I could do this. In my brain, I thought I could read the dictionary and put it on a podcast, so I did it. What I find is interesting, though, for this pronunciation is, so the first one is cud. I think that's how you say could just could. And then the second one is could. But what's weird is that it has the little symbol to show that syllable is emphasized. If it's a multi-syllable word, they'll have a little apostrophe to show which syllable you need to emphasize. But this is just a one-syllable word, so why would they even put that little thing there to show that you emphasize it? Of course you emphasize it. There's no other syllable to emphasize. Okay. Could. Let's see. It says it's a verbal auxiliary. It is the past form of can, and it is from the 13th century. It just says it is used in auxiliary function in the past. Auxiliary function in the past. As in, so we have so much information here. We have a thing, and then an example, and then another thing, and then another example. We've got like 4 of those. So the first one, like I said, auxiliary function in the past, as in, we found we could go. Oh, amazing, you found that you could go. Next, in the past conditional, as in, I lost my place, as in, we said we would go if we could. And as an alternative to can, suggesting less force or certainty, or as a polite form in the present, as in, if you could come, we would be pleased. I think I said there were 4 of these, but there was only 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Yes. So different ways that you can use this all in the past. We found we could go. We said we would go if we could. If you could come, we would be pleased. It would make us so happy if you could come. Where are we going? Just out. Okay, this, it's not terribly interesting for the etymology. It is from Old English, kuth, akin to the Old High German konda, and that means could. And that's all it says. That's it. Next word is couldest. Could plus est. This is the archaic past second singular form of can. Thou couldest. I feel like that's how you might use that. Next is couldn't. COULDN'. Couldn't. Let's see. A dialect form is couldn't. Or just couldn't. Some people say just couldn't. This is, it's from 1646 and it just means could not. It's a contraction. They contracted could and not into couldn't. And obviously it can be pronounced a few different ways. Next is couldst. Couldst. A few different ways. It is could plus st. This is the archaic past second singular form of can again. So we had couldst and couldest. So I think you can do this. You couldst do it. It's old. It's just old. It's an old way to say could, I guess. Next word is coolie. You have to emphasize the first syllable. Coulee. Coolie. Noun from 1807. 1a. A small stream. Probably very relaxing to hang out and have a nap by the small stream, the coolie. 1b. A dry stream bed. Well, that's not quite as relaxing. 1c. A usually small or shallow ravine, and the synonym is gully. 2. A thick sheet or stream of lava. Much more dangerous and not relaxing that one is compared to a stream. Let's see. This is Canadian French, coulis. From French, it means flowing or flow of lava. From couler, which means to flow. From Latin, colare, which means to strain. From colum, which means sieve. You know, the thing that you strain stuff in the sink. I don't want to do too much coughing because I think it's messing up my voice. The next word is coulis. The last word was coolie. This one is coulis. Coulis. Noun from 1978. It is a thick sauce made with pureed vegetable or fruit and often used as a garnish. This is from Old English, Old French. What did I say, Old English? It's from Old French. From coulis, that means flowing. So that's what it is. They pureed this stuff together into a liquid, a thick sauce, and it flowed down the plate. Next word is coulis, or coulisse, Coulisse, noun from 1786. 1A, a side scene of a stage. Also, the space between the side scenes. So does that mean like there's the main scene going on, but then like off to the side, there's like a short little scene with other characters, and then it comes back to the main thing in the center? Is that what that is? Coulisse? 1B, a backstage area. 1C, the synonym is hallway. 2, where did it go? A piece of timber having a groove in which something glides. You put a groove in timber and then something glides through the groove. We're on our last word. Cough, cough. It is couloir. Cool, or maybe it's couloir. 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 Noun from 1822. It is a steep mountainside gorge. This is a French word, and it literally means passage. Couloir. Okay, so the words in this episode were couch grass, couch potato, coude, cougar, cough, cough drop, cough syrup, cough up, could, couldest, couldn't, couldst, coulee, coulee, coulisse, couloir. Let's see. I have to remind myself a little bit of what some of these are. I think. I think I just got to pick couch potato as the word of the episode. This would be a good place to recite some of Weird Al's song called Couch Potato. I just to be safe. I know a good amount of the lyrics, but just to be safe, we are going to bring up the lyrics. Bring up the lyrics. Here we go. It starts off, look, if you had one shot to sit on your lazy butt and watch all the TV you ever wanted until your brain turned to mush, would you go for it or just let it slip? Remote is ready, eyes wide, palms are sweaty. There's Flintstones on the TV already. Wilma and Betty. No virgin to channel surfing, and I'm HD ready, so I flip. Garbage is all I'm getting. There's Simon Cowell, who folks want to disembowel. He opens his mouth, always says something foul. They're dying now. Wannabes are crying now. He votes them out. Time to throw in the towel. Shows based on reality. Oh, the humanity. Oh, Aziz family. Sure, let's profanity. Whoa, the insanity. Oh, dogs that crap and pee. Home of depravity. No, they live happily. Yo, plus the allergy show and celebrity mole. Oh, there's Anna Nicole. She's scaring me. Look, mono cavities. Oh, it's a station break. Better go out to the kitchen and microwave something. And then it goes on to the rest of the song, and that is it. Okay, that's the end of the episode. I did the song. I read the stuff. And I shall tell you that something in my life that's going on right now is the fact that we just got 45 reels of Super 8 film digitized. From film to digital. That's what it means to be digitized. And we just got it back, and I downloaded it all yesterday, and it looks so good. I'm doing some editing, like I'm just doing some color correction and stuff, real simple. But oh man, it is so good to see these films from mostly before I was born. So the late 70s, the early 80s when I was a kid, before we moved on to VHS. I haven't seen most of this stuff, so it's so good, and maybe I'll put some of it on YouTube if my family lets me put it up there public. All right, go to my YouTube channel and hit subscribe. Thanks very much. I appreciate that. This has been Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. Sometimes human beings don't really, they're not in the greatest of moods, but they still have to record a podcast. That's just how the way the world goes. So that's what is going on today. And, we'll see how it goes. We're going to keep it, I think, kind of simple today. Okay, so the first word in this episode is, you can pronounce it coulam or coulomb. The first syllable is emphasized the second syllable is either lom or loam. Coulomb. Noun from 1881. It is the practical meter kilogram second unit of electric charge equal to the quantity of electricity transferred by a current of 1 ampere in 1 second. And this is from Charles A. de Coulomb. I assume the Coulomb is the better way to pronounce it. So this deals with electricity and stuff, and unfortunately I did not go to school to become an electrical engineer, so I don't understand any of it. Should we learn more? Oh, the sound effect, we're just going to go beep. Second form of Coulomb, Coulomb, or it could also be Coulombic. Coulomb, you can add the B, you can take out the B. Coulombic. Adjective from 1930 of relating to or being the electrostatic force of attraction or repulsion between charged particles. Beep. Next is Coulomb's law or Coulomb. It probably depends on what language you speak and what part of the world you're in if you want to say Coulomb or Coulomb. This has a capital C. It's spelled the same way. There's also an apostrophe S. Coulomb's law. Noun from 1854. A statement in physics. Oh, so that's the first part. Then there's a colon, and this statement in physics says, the force of attraction or repulsion acting along a straight line between two electric charges is directly proportional to the product of the charges and inversely to the square of the distance between them. And if anybody would like to send an email or a voicemail describing this in more concrete terms with examples or something, that would be wonderful. Beep. Next is coulometer or coulometer. Noun from circa 1889. An instrument of chemical analysis that determines the amount of a substance released in electrolysis by measurement of the quantity of electricity used. Coulometric is an adjective, and coulometrically is an adverb, and coulometry is a noun. This says it's an alternative of coulometer, spelled the C-O-U-L-O-M-B way, coulometer, and then it was just shortened to coulometer, because they were like, well, there's already an M sound in coulometer, so let's just simplify it. Beep. Next is coulter, C-O-U-L-T-E-R, noun from before the 12th century. It is a cutting tool as a knife or sharp disc that is attached to the beam of a plow. It makes a vertical cut in the surface and permits clean separation and effective covering of the soil and materials being turned under. I believe I have seen examples of these, although I never would have known that they were called a coulter. I'm imagining it's the thing being pulled behind an ox or a horse, and it just is a sharp thing that goes into the ground, and so then when it's pulled through the dirt, it mixes things up and makes a line, and I don't know, maybe we'll find a picture. So this is from Latin coulter, which means plowshare, akin to the Greek scalene, which means to hoe, and there's more at the word shell. Beep. Next is coumarin, C-O-U-M-A-R-I-N, noun from 1830. A toxic white crystalline lactone, C9H6O2, with an odor of new mown hay found in plants or made synthetically and used especially in perfumery and as a parent compound in anticoagulant agents, also a derivative of this compound. So it sounds like this is the thing that when you mow hay or other plants, this is what you smell, but you can also make it, you can fake make it. You can make fake versions of it. This is from French, kumaru, which means tonka bean tree. Tonka bean tree. Let's see, from Portuguese, from Tupi, kumaru, that's it. That's it for that one. It's coumarin. It smells like hay. Hey. Beep. Next word is the first form of council. Noun from the 12th century. 1. An assembly or meeting for consultation, advice, or discussion. 2. A group elected or appointed as an advisory or legislative body. 3a. A usually administrative body. 3b. An executive body whose members are equal in power and authority. 3c. A governing body of delegates from local units of a federation. 4. Deliberation in a council. 5a. A federation of or a central body uniting a group of organizations. 5b. A local chapter of an organization. And 5c. The synonyms are club and society. Can I just belong to your council, please? Let's see. This is from the Latin callare, which means to call, and there's more at the word lo. I simplified the etymology a bit, like I often do. Okay. Beep. Next word is the second form of council, adjective from the 14th century. 1. Used for councils, especially by or with North American Indians, as in a council ground. 2 is British, built, maintained, or operated by a local governing agency, as in council housing, also as in council flats, like apartments. So I guess what it's saying is that like the local government, the local group, the local government will build, maintain, and operate houses or apartments. Beep. Next word is counselor. You can spell it with 2 L's or just 1 L. Noun from the 15th century, a member of a council. And counselorship is a noun. Beep. Next word is councilman. Noun from circa 1637, a member of a council as a town or city. And councilmanic? Councilmanic, that is an adjective. So does that mean it's like a councilman? Putting the word manic, the letters manic at the end there confuse me. I don't think they mean that they actually mean manic, manic, mania, but I think it's just a coincidence. Beep. Next word is Council of Ministers. 3 words. It is often capitalized with the C and the M. It is from 1848, and it's just the 3B definition for the word cabinet. So go to cabinet and listen to 3B. And we have one more word for this episode. Beep, 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 beep. It is councilwoman. Noun, it's all one word. Noun from circa 1928. And should we compare to councilman, which is from 1637? Almost 300 years later, women became councilwomen. It is a woman who is a member of a council. I hope that there were other councils that allowed women to be part of them before 1928, but I'm not so sure about that. Okay, so the words in this episode were coulomb, coulomb, or coulombic, Coulomb's law, coulometer, coulter, coumarin, council, counselor, councilman, council of ministers, and councilwoman. I think I am going to pick coumarin, Coumarin. That is going to be the word of the episode because coumarin is an odor of new mown hay, hey, 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 hey. All right, this has been the shortest episode I've had in an extremely long time. I hope you appreciate that. If you want longer episodes, let me know. If you want me to do anything, if you have suggestions of what I should do instead of reading the holidays, let me know. If you want this to stay family friendly or be explicit, let me know. If it's explicit, I will be swearing a lot. That'll probably be the biggest change. Anything else? You know all the stuff, you regular listeners, all two of you. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. How are you doing? Welcome to another episode of The Dictionary. If you don't know, it's the podcast where Spencer reads the dictionary and then sometimes talks about it, and sometimes other things happen. And I think I have a sneeze. I sure did. Okay, so the first word in this episode is counsel, Counsel. By the way, the counsel in the last episode was spelled Council. Confusing? Probably. This is the first form, noun from the 13th century, 1a, advice given especially as a result of consultation. You hire somebody to be your consultant and they will counsel you on that stuff. 1b, a policy or plan of action or behavior. 2, synonyms are deliberation and consultation. 3a is archaic and the synonym is purpose. I still don't know what my counsel in life is. 3b, guarded thoughts or intentions. 4a is plural, and it looks like we have 4a1 and also 4a2. So 4a1, a lawyer engaged in the trial or management of a case in court. I think what it's saying is the plural of counsel in this case is also just counsel. Sorry about if I was confusing in any way. 4a2, a lawyer appointed to advise and represent in legal matters an individual client or a corporate and especially a public body. And then 4b, it is the number 2 definition for the word consultant. This is from the Latin consulere, which means to consult. So that's what that is. And my sound effect is going to be Second form of counsel, verb from the 14th century, starting with transitive. The synonym is just advise, as in counseled them to avoid rash actions. And that is a quote from George Orwell. And speaking of George Orwell, I was just looking through Facebook mindlessly, as we like to do, and I came across a photo that somebody posted because currently, as I'm recording this is when we're dealing with so many things. Banned books is one of them. Mouse was just banned in 8th grade somewhere, the graphic novel Mouse. And so somebody posted a picture. It says, "Happy Banned Books Week. These are the most banned books from public libraries and schools in the U.S." And I believe there are at least 2 of these books are from George Orwell. Speaking of George Orwell, should I read you the rest of them? To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I should also say, as I read them, I should say if I've read them or not, because some of these I have definitely not read, and I need to. So To Kill a Mockingbird, I did read that in school. The Catcher in the Rye, I also read that. I don't remember them great, but I did read them. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, I think I read that in school. Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, I have not read that. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey, I did read that in high school. Lord of the Flies, still have not read that. Animal Farm by George Orwell, also haven't read that. The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne, I don't remember if I read that one, honestly. I think I did, but I'm not sure. 1984 by George Orwell, I did read that. And lastly, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, I have not read that. So I have some work to do. And I just wanted to read that because I don't see any reason why those need to be banned. You know, there may be some dated things in there, but that doesn't mean that they need to be banned. I don't think any book should be banned. Oh, we're not gonna go down that road. We're just not gonna go down that road. Okay, let's get back on track. Counsel. The intransitive verb definition is the synonym consult, as in counseled with her husband. She needed to consult with him because they should probably make decisions together. Finances, kids, food, sleeping, toys. I don't know what they counsel about. Next word is counselee. So it's counsel with an E added to the end. Noun from 1923. One who is being counseled. Right now, I am counseling you on what I think about things, so you are the counselee, and I am the counselor. We'll get there. Next word is counseling. This can be spelled with one L or two L's. Noun from 1927. Professional guidance of the individual by utilizing psychological methods, especially in collecting case history data, using various techniques of the personal interview and testing interests and aptitudes. Next word is counselor, with an OR at the end, also can be spelled with one or two L's. Noun from the 13th century. 1. A person who gives advice or counseling, as in marriage counselor. 2. The synonym is lawyer. Specifically, one that gives advice in law and manages cases for clients in court. 3. One who has supervisory duties at a summer camp. Counselors. There's also junior counselors and training. And, I hope if you were a kid at camp, I hope you gave your counselors some respect, even though you were probably hard on them. Maybe they were cool. I had a really great counselor when I was, I think, 6 years old. I was in a camp, and for whatever reason, I was in a bad mood. Something happened. I don't remember why. They were having bingo, something, and I didn't want to go, and so he made me feel better, and convinced me to go play bingo with the rest of the kids. And I went and I won bingo. I think I won like a pack of gum or something. It was so exciting. Best day of my life. Okay, so counselorship is a noun, and that is all I have to say about that, except the next word, It is counselor at law, 3 words with hyphens. It is a noun from 1617, and it is just the number 2 definition for the word counselor, which is lawyer. Counselor at law. It would be weird to say lawyer at law, although if you are a counselor at law, I think you should start saying, I'm a lawyer at law. We're already on our last word. We have 2 forms in this episode. They are very long, and we have one more form in tomorrow's episode. Okay, it is the word count, C-O-U-N-T. First form, In some dialects, I guess they say kyont. Not count. Count. Maybe it's just count with that y sound in there. Count. Verb from the 14th century, starting with transitive 1a, to indicate or name by units or groups so as to find the total number of units involved. And then the synonym is just the word number. To indicate or name by units or groups, we're numbering things. I'm gonna number all the things there, and we're gonna number the pages. And it's counting. They're counting. It's a count of pages. I don't know if that makes sense. 1b, to name the numbers in order up to and including, as in count 10. That's the example. Count 10. 1c, to include in a tallying and reckoning, as in about 100 present counting children. So there were 100 people, and included in that are the children. Maybe there's 30 children and 70 adults, so 100. 1d, to call aloud, and the things that you are calling aloud could be beats or time units, as in count cadence. So, like if you're playing music, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm counting the beats in the song. Also as in count eighth notes. I'm trying to remember. 1 eanda is 16th notes. Is it 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that would be counting eighth notes. 2a synonyms are consider and account, as in count oneself lucky. I do count myself lucky. Sometimes you don't always realize it, but I think all of us, a lot of us at least, are luckier than we realize or would like to believe or something. 2b, to record as of an opinion or persuasion, as in count me as uncommitted. 3, to include or exclude by or as if by counting, as in count me in, but I'm uncommitted. Just combining the two examples there. Now we have intransitive 1a, to recite or indicate the numbers in order by units or groups, as in count by fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and I don't remember how my numbers go after that. 1b, to count the units in a group. 2, to rely or depend on someone or something. This is used with the word on, as in counted on his parents to help with the expenses. Maybe you got to be a little bit more independent. Maybe don't rely. No, it depends on the situation. I don't know what this guy's situation is like. Maybe he's had a hard go of it, so he needs to rely on them, and he's working his way back up so he can pay them back later. Yeah. Okay. But if somebody's counting on you to do something, if you say you're going to do something, you should probably do it. You got to be accountable. Accountable. 3, the synonyms are add and total, as in it counts up to a sizable amount. 4a, to have value or significance, as in these are the people who really count. These people really have value or significance. Those other people don't. That's what this example is saying. I don't agree with that. I think everybody's got value and significance, but not according to this example. Also as in, his opinions don't count for much. Well, why is that? They're his opinions. They count to him. 4b, to deserve to be regarded or considered, as in a job so easy it hardly counts as work. I think I would like that job. Okay, it's phrase time. The first one is and counting, and that means with more to come, as in business for 50 years and counting. They are expecting to be in business past 50 years. Maybe it's already 51. Good for them. Congratulations. I am on episode 1100 plus and counting. They're still happening. Next phrase is count heads or count noses. And that means to count the number present. And I have to believe that it's a regional thing if you say count heads or count noses. I have never heard of count noses before. If somebody said that, hey, go count noses, I'm like, why do you want me to count the noses? Do some people have two noses or no noses? Why do you need an accurate count of noses? And the last phrase is count on, and it means to look forward to as certain. To look forward to as certain. The synonym is anticipate, as in counted on winning. Second form of count. This is the very last one. Again, we have a bunch of definitions. Noun from the 14th century. 1a, the action or process of counting. 1b, a total obtained by counting. And the synonym is tally. 2 is archaic. 2a, the synonyms are reckoning and account. 2b, synonyms are consideration and estimation. 3a, synonyms are allegation and charge. Specifically, one separately stating the cause of action or prosecution in a legal declaration or indictment, as in guilty on all counts. 3b, a specific point under consideration, and the synonym is the word issue. 4, the total number of individual things in a given unit or sample obtained by counting all or a subsample of them, as in bacteria count. I don't want to count no bacteria. 5a, the calling off of the seconds from 1 to 10 when a boxer has been knocked down. Like, if they get down to 0, they are down for the count. 5b, the number of balls and strikes charged to a baseball batter during one turn, as in, the count stood at 3 and 2. That would be 3 balls and 2 strikes. That's a full count. Is that what they say? It's full, which means that as long as they don't hit a foul, then whatever happens next is something's going to happen. They're either going to get the 4th ball, which means they walk, or the 3rd strike, which means they're out, or they're going to hit it and they're going to try to run around the bases. That's baseball. Oh, it said baseball. 5b, the synonym is score, as in tied the count with a minute to play. That must have been exciting. 6a, a measurement of the thickness or fineness of yarn by determining the number of hanks or yards per pound it produces. Thickness or fineness of yarn by determining the number of hanks or yards per pound it produces. It's all yarn. It's counting it in a different way. And 6b, the number of threads per square inch in a cloth. Oh yeah, like sheets, they have a count, a thread count, and supposedly the higher the number, the softer it is, or something like that. I don't know. I've never done a scientific experiment of how they all feel, but that's what they say. High count is a good count. That's the phrase. So I don't know. I have no idea what these sheets are. I think they're 2 count. Okay, so the words in this episode were counsel, counsel, counselee, counseling, counselor, counselor at law, count, and count. Well, there is not a lot to choose from, and I think I'm just going to have to pick count as the word of the episode. What do I like? The verb or the noun? I'll pick the noun, and if you couldn't tell, my sound effect was the count from Sesame Street, because he loves to just count numbers. 5 bats. 5 bats. I don't know. There's no song for that. Okay, I think I'm going to end this episode there. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. This is the last section of page 284. We are counting up to a much larger number. And if you could please rate and review this, share, subscribe, follow me on social media at dictionarypod, send me an email, dictionarypod@gmail.com. Call the Google Voice number in the show notes if you want to call and leave a message. I will listen to it, and maybe I'll put it in an episode. You can write a little theme song. You can make a little sound effect. You can join the Patreon, and I think those are all the things. Okay, the first word is the third form of count. Noun from the 15th century. A European nobleman whose rank corresponds to that of a British earl. And I guess maybe that one would be the one who likes to count numbers. Although that guy, he was like a vampire. He was Count. What was his name? Count. I don't remember. So this is from Latin comes, which means, I think it means companion, or one of the imperial court. And is from com plus ire, which means to go, and there's more at the word issue. So maybe they have to go to the court and deal with issues, and that's why they are called the count. In this episode, my sound effect is literally going to be counting. 1. Next word is countable. Adjective from 1581. Capable of being counted. Especially capable of being put into one-to-one correspondence with the positive integers, as in a countable set. Countability is a noun, and countably is an adverb. 2. I hope I don't lose count. I probably will. Next word is countdown. One word. Noun from circa 1952. An audible backward counting in fixed units, as seconds, from an arbitrary starting number to mark the time remaining before an event. Also, preparations carried on during such a count. Countdown, 2 words, is also an intransitive verb. And, we often, New Year's Eve, we count down from 10. I think we should count down from a much, much larger number, so it's a very long countdown. When they're about to blast off a rocket, they count down. There's a theater place in Chicago called Too Much Light Makes the Baby Go Blind, and I remembered that. I'm trying to remember the context. At the end of the show, they would do some sort of countdown, but it would be a new thing. Like somebody from the audience would yell out like a topic, a list of a category of things, like planets, say, and then they would count down the planets. But there was no like order. Nobody cared about the order, so everybody would just yell out whatever order they wanted. Saturn, Earth, Mercury, Jupiter. I think it was, if they finished the show in under an hour, then they would count down at the end. I don't remember. Something. Okay, 3. The next word is countenance. 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 First form, noun from the 13th century. Number 1 is obsolete. The synonyms are bearing and demeanor. 2A, calm expression. 2B, mental composure. 2C, synonyms are look and expression. 3 is archaic. 3A, synonyms are aspect and semblance. 3B, the synonym is pretense. 4, the synonyms are face and visage, visage, especially the face as an indication of mood, emotion, or character. What is the countenance on your face? Do you have, your demeanor? Calm expression. Do you have a calm expression? What's your mental composure, your look, your expression? It's all that. 5, bearing or expression that offers approval or sanction. Moral support. That's the last part of that definition. Let's see. This is from Middle Latin continentia, which is also from regular Latin, which maybe it's the same word. It means restraint, from the verb continere, and that means to hold together. And there's more at the word contain. 4, second form of countenance, transitive verb, it's just transitive, from 1568, to extend approval or toleration to. And the synonym is sanction, as in refused to countenance any changes in the policy. Countenancer, that is a noun. 5, it is the first form of the word counter, noun from the 14th century. 1, a piece, as of metal or plastic, used in reckoning or in games. The counter, like reckoning? Not sure about that. I mean, there's the time counter. I don't know. Number 2, something of value in bargaining, and the synonym is asset. 3, a level surface, as a table, shelf, or display case, over which transactions are conducted or food is served, or on which goods are displayed or work is conducted, as in jewelry counter, also as in a lunch counter. I think it's funny that they have to specify it's a level surface because, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't even think about saying, because of course it's a level surface. It would be pretty odd if it was not a level surface. If you're trying to, sometimes it might not be. If you need to angle things depending on what it is, but a lunch counter, you want that to be level because you don't want the food sliding off. Okay, so there is a phrase, there's a couple of phrases. Let's see. Oh, okay, interesting. We'll get there. So the first phrase, it has 2 definitions. It is over the counter. 1, in or through a broker's office rather than through a stock exchange, as in stock bought over the counter. 2, without a prescription, and the synonym is drugs available over the counter. So if you hear that phrase, you can just get it over the counter. That means you don't need a doctor to give you a prescription for it. You can get it whenever you want. I have a feeling that, these days, I think I get confused by this because these days, the things that you get over the counter are the things that you do get a prescription for. Everything else you want is just on a shelf. You can go grab it. But I think back in the day, you had to go to, say, the pharmacist, and they would just give them to you. So that would technically be over the counter. I don't know. It's a little weird. I think it's an old school phrase, just like most of the phrases we use. The next phrase is under the counter. You can have things over and also under the counter. And this one means by surreptitious means. By surreptitious means. And then also in an illicit and private manner, as in workers being paid under the counter. I think another version of that would be under the table. I feel like that one might be a little bit more common. But yes, under the counter also, it's illicit, private, surreptitious. Okay, next word. I think I'm on 6 for my sound effect. This is the second form of counter, noun from the 14th century, one that counts, especially a device for indicating a number or amount. And this is from, it looks like Anglo-French, compter, and that means to count. 7. These numbers probably are really confusing to you. And I think I'm on 7. I don't know. I think that's right. Should we do a count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I was right. Okay, it is the third form of counter, verb from the 14th century, starting with transitive. 1a, to act in opposition to. Synonym is oppose. 1b, synonyms are offset and nullify, as in tried to counter the trend toward depersonalization. 2, to assert in answer, as in we countered that our warnings had been ignored. And now we have intransitive, to meet attacks or arguments with defensive or retaliatory steps. The etymology says this is from the Anglo-French contra, which means against or opposite, from the Latin contra, akin to the Latin cum, which means with or together, and there's more at the prefix co, C-O. 8. The next word is the fourth form of counter, adverb from the 15th century. 1, in an opposite or wrong direction. Oops, you gotta turn around. 2, to or toward a different or opposite direction, result or effect, as in values that run counter to those of society. 9. This is our last word. It is the fifth form of counter. Noun from the 15th century. 1, synonyms are contrary and opposite. 2, the after portion of a boat from the waterline to the extreme outward swell or stern overhang. 3a, the act of making an attack while parrying one, as in boxing. All right, so let's do that again. The act of making an attack while parrying one. And the example is in boxing, but then also a blow thus given in boxing. So you can counter, the act of so while you're avoiding an attack in boxing, but you also attack at the same time, that is called a counter. You're countering their attack with your attack. But then also the name of when you hit them, a blow thus given in boxing, the hit is called the counter. 3b, an agency or force that offsets, and the synonym is check. 4, a stiffener to give permanent form to a boot or shoe upper around the heel. A shoe upper around the heel. 5, an area within the face of a letter wholly or partly enclosed by strokes. And 6, a football play in which the ball carrier goes in a direction opposite to the movement of the play. That's going to confuse the other team so much. All right, so the words in this episode were count, countable, countdown, countenance, countenance, counter, 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 counter. I think I will pick countdown as the word of the episode because for reasons that I will not tell you. So I think maybe I'll just sing the numbers. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and blast off. All right, that is where I'm ending this, and I'm going to go do some other stuff now. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the Dictionary. Thank you for turning on this podcast. We are on the top section, the first section of page 285. And there's going to be some fun, weird stuff in this episode. Okay, So, the first word in this episode is the sixth form of the word counter. 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 Adjective from 1582. 1. Marked by, or tending toward, or in an opposite direction or effect. So, toward or not toward something. Number 2. Given to or marked by opposition, hostility, or antipathy. 3. Situated or lying opposite, as in the counterside. 4. Recalling or ordering back by a superseding contrary order. Recalling or ordering back by a superseding contrary order. As in the synonym countermanding. Countermanding? When are we going to see that? Countermanding, where are you? Well, there's countermand. That will be 2 episodes from now, so I assume countermanding is part of that. As in the example, counter orders from the colonel. Oh, sound effect is going to be sound effect. This next one is the counter word again. It is the prefix form, though. And so we have 1A. It means contrary or opposite, as in counterclockwise, also as in countermarch. I love counterclockwise. It's my favorite of the clockwises. 1B. Opposing or retaliatory, as in counterforce or counteroffensive. Counteroffensive. 2. Complementary or corresponding, as in counterweight, also as in counterpart. And 3. Duplicate or substitute. And I think that would actually be duplicate or no duplicate. I think duplicate and substitute, as in counterfoil. And now I am going to read you a very long list of words that all start with the word counter, the prefix counter, and I believe none of these will be, they will not have their own entries here in the dictionary, which is why they're just listed here. Are you ready? Great. Counter-accusation, counter-adaptation, counter-advertising, counter-agent, counter-aggression, counter-argue, counter-argument, counter-assault, counter-attack, counter-attacker, counter-bid, counter-blast, counter-blockade, counter-blow, counter-campaign, counter-charge, counter-commercial, counter-complaint, counter-conspiracy, counter-convention, counter, what is this word? Countermeasure. Wow, so there's a countermeasure, which we will see 2 episodes from now, but there's countermeasure. What is happening there? Counter-coup, counter-criticism, counter-cry, counter-demand, counter-demonstrate, counter-demonstration, counter-demonstrator, counter-deployment, counter-educational, counter-effort, counter-evidence, counter-fire, counter-force, counter-government, counter-hypothesis, counter-image, counter-incentive, counter-inflation, counter-inflationary, counter-influence, counter-instance, counter-institution, counter-interpretation, counter-invasion, counter-memo, counter-mobilization, counter-move, counter-movement, counter-myth, counter-order, counter-petition, counter-picket, counter-play, counter-ploy, counter-power, counter-pressure, counter-protect, counter-propaganda, counter-protest, counter-protester, counter-question, counter-raid, counter-rally, counter-reaction, counter-reform, counter-reformer, counter-response, counter-retaliation, counter-shot, counter-sniper, counter-spell, counter-state, counter-statement, counter-step, counter-strategist, counter-strategy, counter-stream, counter-strike, counter-stroke, counter-style, counter-sue, counter-suggestion, counter-suit, counter-surveillance, counter-tactics, counter-tendency, counter-terror, counter-terrorism, counter-terrorist, counter-threat, counter-thrust, counter-tradition, counter-trend, counter-violence, and counter-world. I definitely had some thoughts on a few of those. Maybe you did too. Hey, if you did, you can call my Google Voice number and leave a message, or leave me send me an email or some other way to contact me if you want to say something about those. Sound effect. Next word is counteract. This is a transitive verb from 1655. To make ineffective or restrain or neutralize the usually ill effects of, by means of, an opposite force, action, or influence, as in a drug used to counteract fatigue. I hope that drug works to counteract fatigue. Try to get more sleep, too. Counteraction is a noun, and counteractive is an adjective. Sound effect. Sound effect. This is my sound effect. All right, our next word is counterbalance. First form, noun from 1611, 1. A weight that balances another. 2. A force or influence that offsets or checks an opposing force. I have an old scale. I think I may have mentioned this a while ago. An old scale for my grandparents or my great grandparents, and it's got the counterbalance things, and it has little weights, and you put them on there, and those are the counterbalances, and so you can put something else on the other side to figure out how much it weighs. Sound effect. Second form of counterbalance. Transitive verb from circa 1611, 1. To oppose or balance with an equal weight or force. 2. To equip with counterbalances. Sound effect, sound effect, sound effect. Next word and last word. Hey, it's the last word. It is counterchange. All one word. Transitive verb from circa 1604. Number 1, the synonyms are interchange and transpose. Number 2, it is just the 1A definition for the word checker. That's all the words in this episode. So we had counter, counteract, counterbalance, and counterchange. I will pick counterbalance as the word of the episode. Because if you gotta weigh something on a scale, you need a counterbalance. Balance it out, balance that scale with something on one end and a counterbalance on the other side. I don't know what I said exactly there. Oh my God, there's no holidays to read. I got nothing for you. Oh man, we just watched Uncle Buck last night. Hadn't seen it for many, many years. And it was a great time. It's a cartoon. I mean, it's basically a cartoon. It's live action cartoon. He is a full-blown cartoon character. The rest of the characters are not quite as extreme as he is maybe, but they're also kind of cartoony. And everything that happens is just so over the top and cartoony. It's great. If you want to see something that's pretty lighthearted and fun, and a little ridiculous, but also it's got some heart. It's got some good serious moments as well. Uncle Buck is a good one. There is a scene where he is making pancakes for his nephew's birthday, and these are the biggest pancakes I've ever seen. They take up the entire stove, and I really want to know how they did this, what they did exactly. He pulls out a giant shovel to flip them. I don't know where he got this shovel, but honestly, the pancake, it looked pretty real. I'm sure it was not, but it looked pretty real. And as long as you've got something big enough to flip it, you could probably do this. If you have a big enough cookie sheet to go over the entire stove, all 4 burners, you could probably make a really big pancake. I want to do that. That would be so hard, though. And yeah, I think that's good. That's good for now. Hey, we crossed 10 minutes. All right, thank you very much for listening, and until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Go share this, please. Okay, bye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. I am reading this very large dictionary book, and then I tell you about it. I'm telling you all about it. All the things that you don't know, I'm telling you about it all. If you have not figured out, we are in the section of the counter words. We had a couple in the last episode. We're going to go through at least 3 or 4 episodes with the counter prefix. Yeah, just about 1, 2, 3, 4 more, including this one. So yes, it's all things that are mostly, opposite, against, that kind of thing. All right, there may be a burp in my future. I just had some water. Well, it feels like it's coming. It's on its way. It's just gonna stay in the episode if it happens. Okay, the first word is countercheck. One word, first form, noun from 1584. A check or restraint often operating against something that is itself a check. What kind of check are we talking about? What? Second form of countercheck, transitive verb from 1579. 1. Synonyms are check and counteract. 2. To check a second time for verification. Oh man, I don't trust people. I always got to check something that they've already told me what it is. So I got to check it. I got to countercheck. It's countercheck. What? Okay, we have countercheck again, but it is 2 words. How did we let that one in? Noun from 1856, a check obtainable at a bank, usually to be cashed only at the bank by the drawer. What? Next word is counterclaim, first form, noun from 1784, an opposing claim, especially a claim brought by a defendant against a plaintiff in a legal action. Plaintiff. It didn't come out so good. Yeah, that happens a lot. Somebody goes to sue somebody, and then they're like, well, I'm going to sue you back, right? Is that what this is? A counterclaim? What? I honestly do not know what the sound effect is, but it's a fun something different. Okay, next is the second form of counterclaim. It's just a verb from 1857. Intransitive is first. To enter or plead a counterclaim. You got to go counterclaim your counterclaim. And then transitive is to act in a counterclaim. What? Next word is counterclockwise. Adverb from 1888. In a direction opposite to that in which the hands of a clock rotate as viewed from in front. And counterclockwise is also an adjective. And we probably had this way back in the A's, but another synonym of this is also anti-clockwise. Anti, that's how the British people like to say it. What? Next word is counter-conditioning, noun from 1962. You can assume all of these are one word unless I tell you otherwise. Conditioning in order to replace an undesirable response, as fear, to a stimulus, as an engagement in public speaking, by a favorable one. All right, I'm going to read that again without the parentheses. Conditioning in order to replace an undesirable response to a stimulus by a favorable one. And the example of the undesirable response is fear, and the example of the stimulus is an engagement in public speaking. So you are conditioning yourself, in this example, you are conditioning yourself to not be afraid to public speak. It's freaky. It's hard to get up in front of a group of people and public speak. I remember in high school, this happened a bunch of times, but specifically I remember in high school I had to go give a report in front of the class or something, and my knees are just shaking. The muscles are like vibrating, and it's I wasn't consciously nervous, but it's just it's hard. It's just hard to get up in front of people. That's why I like sitting in my room all alone, maybe with a cat, talking in front of a microphone, because there's no people. What? Next word is counterculture. Noun from 1968. A culture with values and mores that run counter to those of established society. Countercultural is an adjective. Counterculturalism is a noun, and counterculturist is a noun. I don't think people who are part of the counterculture call themselves counterculturists. Yeah, I have thoughts about this. Counterculture, yeah, you gotta values and mores? Is it mores? We have this established society, and a lot of aspects of it are maybe not great. I think a lot of people would probably agree with that. And so I definitely think that there are aspects of counterculture that I very much enjoy. Let's try and change some of those things. Let's do that. What? Next word is countercurrent. First form, noun from 1684. A current flowing in a direction opposite that of another current. They're going in opposite directions. What? Second form of countercurrent, adjective from 1799. 1. Flowing in an opposite direction. 2. Involving flow or materials in opposite directions, as in countercurrent dialysis. Okay, dialysis, that is a thing where if I think I know at least enough about this. Somebody who's got problems with their kidneys, they gotta go get the dialysis. So the kidneys, I think they clean the blood, or they take the things out of the blood that you don't want, so you can pee it out or something. And so if the kidneys aren't working so great, then you gotta do dialysis, which is where you get hooked up to a machine and it pulls the blood out of your system, and it basically does what the kidneys do, because your kidneys ain't doing it, and then it puts it back in your body. So it pulls it out, it does what it's got to do, it cleans it, whatever, and then it puts it back. And so there must be multiple currents going on. There's the out, and then there's the in, I guess. Oh man, I hope I never have to go through dialysis, but there's a lot of people who do, and you got to do it pretty regularly, and it sounds rough and tough. And so much respect to those people on dialysis. My heart goes out to you. Countercurrently is an adverb. What? I'm very sorry for that hard on your ear sound effect. Countercyclical is next. Adjective from 1944. Calculated to check excessive developments in a business cycle. And the synonym is compensatory, as in counter-cyclical budget policies. And counter-cyclically, I don't know how to say this word. Cyclically? No, seriously, how do you say this word? Cyclical. So that's cyclical, cyclically. I think that's it. Counter-cyclically. That's a hard word to say. That is an adverb. What? Next word is counter-espionage. Espionage. You can say it. The Canadians say espionage. That's different ways. Espionage. That's another way they say it. Noun from 1899. The activity concerned with detecting and thwarting enemy espionage. Very good. Thank you for your work. What? Next word is counter-example. Noun from 1852. An example that refutes or disproves a proposition or theory. I got nothing. Whoop. Next is counterfactual. This is an adjective. Oh, you can say it counterfactual, factual. Adjective from 1946, contrary to fact, as in counterfactual assumptions. I don't think I'm a big fan of counterfactual things. I like facts and science and things that are real and actual and factual. Okay, next, we got to move on. What? It is counterfeit. This is our last word, and we've got 3 forms. I don't believe that this is one of those words that has the, what am I trying to say? I don't think this is a word with the counter as a prefix to mean opposite or against, so it's its own thing. And Bailey, my other cat Bailey, who you don't get to hear about very much, she is in here, and I think she would like to be let out. She was chilling on the radiator. Oh, are you going to go chill on a pillow now? What's going on? You're doing a little exploring. All right, you're okay for now. So, counterfeit. COUNTERFEIT. Adjective from the 14th century. 1. Made in imitation of something else with intent to deceive. And the synonym is forged, as in counterfeit money. I feel like making counterfeit money is just so much effort. I've never done it, but it seems like it would be a lot of work. 2A. The synonyms are insincere and feigned. Feigned, FEIGNED, as in counterfeit sympathy. I don't want none of your counterfeit sympathy. 2B, the synonym is imitation, as in counterfeit Georgian houses. They are imitated. They're imitating actual Georgian houses. So this is like the first time in a little while that we've actually looked at some etymology. Does it say anything interesting? A little bit. It is from the Anglo-French verb contrefaire or contrefaire. That means to imitate. From contra and faire, and this faire, F-A-I-R-E, means to make. Ah, okay. So actually, this is one of those opposite things because it's making, and then you put the opposite on it, and it's a fake make. You've made it fake. Also from the Latin facere, which means I believe that means to make, and it says there's more at the word do. So yeah, the fit, F-E-I-T, even though I don't think that's an English word, although it could be. I haven't gotten to the F's yet. If fate is not an actual word, it still uses the counter prefix to mean opposite and fake. Okay, we've figured it out. Next word is the second form of counterfeit. This is a verb from the 14th century, starting with transitive, to imitate or feign, especially with intent to deceive. Also, to make a fraudulent replica of, as in counterfeiting $20 bills. Intransitive, that's the time for that. 1. To try to deceive by pretense or dissembling. 2. To engage in counterfeiting something of value. And then a synonym for all is the word assume. Counterfeiter, that is a noun. And our last word, whoop, 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 whoop. It is the third form of counterfeit, noun from the 15th century. 1. Something counterfeit, and the synonym is forgery. 2. Something likely to be mistaken for something of higher value, as in, pity was a counterfeit of love. And that is a quote from Harry Hervey. Pity was a counterfeit of love. And then another synonym for all is the word imposture. Okay, the words in this episode were countercheck, 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 counterclaim, counterclaim, counterclockwise, counterconditioning, counterculture, countercurrent, countercurrent, countercyclical, counterespionage, counterexample, counterfactual, counterfeit, counterfeit, counterfeit. Let's see. Well, I liked counterculture. That's my runner-up, but I think I'm going to pick counterclockwise as the word of the episode. I don't know how old I was, maybe junior high or high school. I got a watch, and it's got Goofy, the Disney character Goofy on it, and I'm sure I've told this before. But it's backwards. It's a backwards watch, and I still have it, although I think the battery is dead. And I got so good at reading this clock backwards that it was just easier for me to read a backwards clock than a forwards clock. And I don't know, maybe I need to bring that watch back out and start wearing it. Counterclockwise, counterclockwise. Read that clock backwards. What is going the wrong way? You gotta do a thing counterclockwise. I don't know. All right. Let's see. What's going on? What's going on with me? I watched more of that show, Mr. Corman, from Joseph Gordon-Levitt and other people. It's on Apple TV, Apple Plus, whatever that thing is. And I really like it. After I heard about it, that it was coming out, I didn't really hear anything more about it. I had a hard time finding it on the Apple TV thing, the webpage. It feels like they were sort of burying it. I don't know. I just feel like it hasn't gotten great reviews, but I'm really enjoying it. It's different. It's odd. It's fun and goofy, and then sometimes super serious. But there's like musical numbers and different stuff. It's just odd and fun and cool, and I like the characters, but I sometimes don't like the characters, which I think is part of the thing. It's like pretty realistic. I don't know. It's fun. It's worth checking out. Go watch Mr. Corman. All right, I'm going to end the episode there. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Nope. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the Dictionary. Yay! The crowd goes wild. Okay, let's talk about more counter words. Counter. Yesterday and the day before, we had more counter episodes. What did I say? Yeah, the last couple episodes, we had a bunch of more counter words. The first in this episode is counterflow. Again, these are all going to be one word unless I specify, and I'm scanning, and I don't think any of them are more than one word. Counterflow. First word, noun from 1870. The flow of a liquid in opposite directions. And the example is in an apparatus. What kind of apparatus sends liquids in opposite directions? Well, we talked about the the dialysis example was recently, so maybe that's one. There is a counterflow of liquid. Oh my god, I didn't even think of a sound effect. Bailey, what should the sound effect be? You got nothing to say. Boop, boop, boop. Next word is counterfoil, F-O-I-L, noun from 1706, a detachable stub, usually serving as a record or receipt, and this stub is on a check or a ticket. Counterfoil. I've never heard of counterfoil. The detachable stub is the counterfoil? People just say the stub. Where does this word come from? It doesn't give me any information. What was my sound effect? Bloop, 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 bloop. Next word is counter-gorilla. Now, this is not the ape gorilla. This is G-U-E-R-R-I-L-L-A. Or you could spell it with just one R. Counter-gorilla. And there's a few ways to pronounce that. Noun from 1901, a guerrilla who is trained to thwart enemy guerrilla operations. It's guerrilla against guerrilla. That's what it is. I also feel like it could be pronounced counter-guerrilla, but it's not saying if it's a Spanish word. I thought that it might be, so I could be wrong about that, so apologies. And it does not say that that is one of the appropriate pronunciations. Next word. Bloop, 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 bloop. It is counterinsurgency. Noun from 1962. Organized military activity designed to combat insurgency. Obviously, this is a pattern. Counter, it's going to be the opposite of the second word that's in the word that we read. Counterinsurgent is a noun. Bloop, 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 bloop. Next word is counterintelligence. So I would say it's me. It's somebody who doesn't know anything, doesn't have any intelligence. No, that's not what it is. It is a noun from 1940. Organized activity of an intelligence service designed to block an enemy's sources of information, to deceive the enemy, to prevent sabotage, and to gather political and military information. So it's about, I had it in my head. It's about, where was it? Blocking the enemy getting information, right? So that's the counterpart. Preventing, deceiving the enemy. It's stopping, it's changing up the intelligence from the enemy, countering their intelligence. Bloop, 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 bloop. Next word is counterintuitive. Adjective from 1955. Contrary to what one would intuitively expect. Intuitively. Contrary to what one would intuitively expect. Counterintuitively is an adverb. There's so many examples of things that are counterintuitive. My door lock, it's counterintuitive because most door locks, you turn the key towards the door jamb because that's the way that the bolt goes into the door, but mine is backwards. I don't know why. Some of them are like that. Bloop, 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 bloop. Next word is counter-ion, or just counter-ion. And yeah, it's just I-O-N at the end there. Noun from 1940, an ion having a charge opposite to that of the substance with which it is associated. Think that's pretty clear. Bloop, 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 bloop. Next word is counter-irritant. This is the opposite of me. Noun from 1844. 1. An agent applied locally to produce superficial inflammation with the object of reducing inflammation in deeper adjacent structures. So you got some inflammation on you. It's very irritated, and you put this counter-irritant on you to help with the inflammation. 2. An irritation or discomfort that diverts attention from another. Counter-irritant is also an adjective. Bloop, 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 bloop. Next is counterman, or just counterman. Noun from 1849. I feel like we probably will not see counterwoman. I have to check to flip the page. No counterwomen. Okay, so counterman, noun from 1849. One who tends a counter. Aha, so this is not one of the opposite words. It's the man who's standing at the counter. Maybe he's a soda jerk. Maybe he's at the hotel. He's the counterman. Yep. Next word. Bloop, 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 bleep, bleep, bloop. It is countermand. M-A-N-D. And counter... Oh, you can also emphasize the last syllable. So it could be countermand or countermand. Subtle. This is the first form. It is a verb from the 15th century, and I believe it is just transitive. 1. To revoke by a contrary order. And the thing that you might be revoking is a command. I feel like I'm hearing a siren out there in the distance. And sometimes that they'll blow the siren, because there's a fire station just a couple blocks away from here. They'll blow the siren when they're going to do the snow plowing on the big streets. But this one sounds further away. I wonder if this is the siren for the next town over. That would be interesting. But it's like constant. It hasn't stopped for like the whole episode. I don't even know if you can hear it. Okay, back on track. So, countermand. We read number 1. Number 2, to recall or order back by a superseding contrary order. Well, who do you believe? Who are you supposed to trust? You got the order from somebody, and then you got the counter order. What's going on? Oh, I think the siren stopped. Oh, thank God. As in, countermand reinforcements. We have some etymology. This is from counter plus mander. Oh, what? I should probably tell you the language. Anglo-French, mander is to command. From the Latin mandare, which probably also is to command, and there's more at the word mandate. Yes, if you give somebody a mandate, you are commanding them to do a thing. Bloop, 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 bloop. Second form of countermand, noun from 1548. 1. A contrary order. So the last one was a verb. Now we're on the noun version. 2. The revocation of an order or command. So you can take back a command, and that is a countermand. You can give a contrary order to somebody than what they were already told to do. That's a countermand. Yeah. Bloop, 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 bloop. Next is countermarch. Noun from 1598. I think it's just people who are marching backwards. 1. A marching back. You got to go back from where you came, or to where you came. Specifically, a movement in marching by which a unit of troops reverses direction while marching, but keeps the same order. So they probably, do they turn around 180 and then they keep on going, or does the whole group just turn around and so they're all in the same order? The people who were in the front are still in the front, and the people who are in the back are still in the back. I don't know which it is. 2. A march, as of political demonstrators, designed to counter the effect of another march. You got double marches happening for 2 different reasons, opposite reasons. Counter march is my brain wanted to say so many things all at once, nothing came out. Counter march is an intransitive verb. Bloop, 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 bloop. Next word is countermeasure. Measure, or you could say measure. Some people like to say countermeasure. Noun from 1923, an action or device designed to negate or offset another, especially a military system or device intended to thwart a sensing mechanism. And the example of that sensing mechanism is a radar. As in the example, electronic countermeasures. Bloop, 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 bloop. Next is counter melody, noun from 1926, a secondary melody that is sounded simultaneously with the principal one. What was that word we had a while ago? It was, it might have been counter. No, we haven't gotten to counterpoint yet. It was something like that, and I played an example of some polyphonic music. There were multiple things going on at once. So this could be similar to that, but different maybe. If I feel so inclined, maybe I'll put in an audio example here. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Next is countermine, M-I-N-E, noun from 1548, a tunnel for intercepting an enemy mine. So it's a mine intercepting another mine. Bloop. Next is counter-offensive, noun from 1909, a large, wouldn't that just be defense? A counter-offensive is defense? Maybe not. A large-scale military offensive undertaken by a force previously on the defensive. So, let's say side A is on the offense, they're going and attacking side B, and then B says, hold up, we don't want to be on the defense, we want to be on the offense, so we're going to do a counter-offensive to your offensive. We're going to attack you. How do you like them apples? Bloop, bloop, bloop. Next is counteroffer. This is probably one of, if not the most common word in this whole episode. Counteroffer. Noun from 1788, a return offer made by one who has rejected an offer. So if you offer me $5 for an apple, let's stick with the apple thing. I say, no, I would like $6 for that apple, please. That would be my counter offer. Bloop, 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 bloop. Next and last word of this episode is counterpane, P-A-N-E. Noun from the 15th century, and the synonym is just bedspread. Why is it bedspread? Well, let's look at the etymology. It is an alternative of Middle English contrepoint, modified of the Middle French coutpoint, I don't know how to say it, and that coutpoint literally means embroidered quilt. Embroidered quilt. So, wow, it went from C-O-U-T-E, that's the first part, that became counter. It's probably just because it's spelled and maybe pronounced similarly. And then the second part, point, is P-O-I-N-T-E, and that became pain. But I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it is an embroidered quilt, a counterpane. If I didn't know, and I didn't, if I didn't know that this came from another language in that way, I would think of what is a counterpane? Like a pane of glass? What is that? How does that make bedspread? It doesn't make any sense, but now it makes sense. All right, I have to reread the words. We had counterflow, counterfoil, counter-guerrilla, counterinsurgency, counterintelligence, counterintuitive, counter-ion, counter-irritant, counterman, countermand, countermand, countermarch, countermeasure, countermelody, countermine, counteroffensive, counteroffer, and counterpane. Oh boy. Well, There were some great ones here. I think I may just pick counterman as the word of the episode. Maybe just because I think it's the only one that didn't have anything. Well, no, counterpane. I guess that one would count as well. But other than those, I think it was the only one that didn't have anything to do with the opposite of the thing of the word that was after counter. I want to go work as a counterman. I'm going to serve people up drinks and other foods like fries. I work at a counter. I'm a counterman. Hey, that's the end of that. What do I got to say? Do I have anything to say? It's a Friday in my times. I finished the week of work. I'm going to have a fun week of work next week. It's going to be great. And let's see. I'm gonna have to go watch something after this. After I record another episode, gonna have to eat some dinner. Yep, got to do that. Maybe watch a movie. Don't know what I'm gonna watch. I'll figure it out later. Thank you for listening to my brain. This has been Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye.